All right, bet. People on YouTube, y'all can hear me now? Y'all should be able to hear me now. Let me know in the comment section if y'all can hear me. All right, y'all can hear me now. Perfect. So how everybody doing this weekend? Y'all good? Did y'all have a good trading week last week? I know it's been a couple weeks since we had hopped on, but last week I was traveling, and then the other week I was just being a dad and had stuff to do. So overall, though, we back, chat. We are back, chat. And then, did y'all watch my YouTube video today? I dropped a new YouTube video, so it's on my other channel though. So make sure y'all go check that out. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe, because we're on the road to 50K. We are on the road to 50K subs, ladies and gents. So run that up and share with a friend that needs all the help they can get from my channel, right? So they said congrats on being a father. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. But all right, so we're gonna dive right into this. Do anybody got any questions to start off the stream real quick before we dive into it? I know y'all asked me about gold in the Telegram chat. I'll go over that, and then let's see if y'all got any other questions though. And then to my students, y'all got y'all monthly call tonight, right after this one. So for my YouTube people, y'all, we not gonna be on here too long because I got the my one-on-ones, well, not my one-on-one students, but my monthly call, my students inside the Blueprint Trading Academy. So we're not gonna be here too long. Somebody say I trade US 30. That's what's up. But all right, chart runner family, let's go ahead and just dive right into it. And if you're in my Telegram chat, you know I've changed the name to Chart Runners because ultimately that's what we do. We run these charts, right? So y'all really need to be in my Telegram chat. If y'all not, the link should be in the description. Let me double check. Yes, so the link is in my description. Join my free Telegram chat. Like I said, excuse me, y'all need to be inside of that because I drop all of my morning outlooks, my weekly analysis on a daily basis inside of there. It's not like every single day, sometimes like every 2 days or so, but definitely make sure that y'all inside of that so that y'all can take advantage because I give a lot of insight on what I'm looking for throughout the weekend, giving y'all updates. So my Telegram chat is where I'm the most active now because it is no shit, my Zoom. Sorry, Zoom people. I forgot. Hold on. Zoom people, y'all should be able to hear me now. My bad. I had you on mute. But for everybody back on YouTube, the Telegram chat is where I'm the most active. This is where I give the updates and all the chart analysis and all of that stuff. So I'll just give y'all a quick outlook to show y'all what overall that I'm overall looking for. So let me show y'all real quick on what's that Telegram chat entails. So let me pull that up real quick. All right, so here just to show y'all, like I said, we be active inside of there. This is the outlooks that I've been giving, and then like I mentioned, I changed the title of it to Chart Runners, and then I give my outlook. So make sure you inside of there because like I said, that's where I'm the most active. If y'all want to stay up to date and not just hop on these calls, then definitely make sure that y'all inside of the Telegram chat because like I said, that's where I'm the most active. So with that being said, let's go over what we talked about in the last, update inside the Telegram chat. So, oops. The last video that we had inside the Telegram chat, we was looking for US 30 buys. Now, if you in the free signals chat as well, I was looking for US 30 buys all week. And then it finally played out on that Friday, which was pretty annoying because we tried to buy twice and then we went in profit multiple times, and then it just kind of consolidated for the whole week. So when I gave the analysis, I was looking at originally, we was like right here, and I was looking at price to, continue to push up because I was mentioning that, we was overall bearish. I mean, not overall bearish. We was overall bullish, and we had this impulse. We was looking for this correction. Then we looked for that continuation. Ultimately, this just was a much longer correction than I thought it was going to be. And then, like I said, we had this consolidation, but overall, this still played out exactly the way it was supposed to. So if we look at it like such, on our daily time frame, you can see we have this impulse, this correction, and then this continuation. That's the daily. But then on the smaller time frames like H4, same concept. We had an impulse, we needed a correction before we got a continuation to make those new highs. So what I was mentioning inside of the video was that even though we was at these highs, like these all-time highs, this level resistance, we were still overall bullish. So when you think about the market and really understand like where you at, if the market is still telling you that it's printing higher highs and higher lows, then that you can expect the market to continue in the upward direction until you get a valid reason to say that the market is going down. Now, how do you know when the market is about to go down? When you begin to break structure. So what that look like is break a structure, retest, continuation, right? So on US 30, we never got that. So it was like one of those things where as long as we not breaking structure, then I'm continue looking for buys. So that's what overall happened on Friday when we had Fed Chair Powell speaking, and then it was Jackson Hole. So all of that stuff had happened on Friday, but ultimately, like I mentioned, I was waiting on this buy. Even had this little minor fib. It hit our negative 61 and our negative 27. It just kind of consolidated. So currently where we are at, let's start from the top. Y'all know, if you new here, if you brand spanking new, I'll do all of these markups. I'll go over US 30, I'll go over NAS, and I'll go over gold. And we always do a top-down analysis before we start the week. That is one of the most important things, in my opinion, for you to know exactly the story of where you are at inside of the market before you just jump into trying to trade it. If you don't know the story, you don't know where you at, you don't know the structure, then ultimately, in my opinion, you're just gambling, right? So starting from the weekly, we can see that we had this bullish variation here, letting us know that there are a lot of buyers still inside the market because we have a lot of bullish momentum when we get in this continuation phase on the weekly time frame. On the daily, we can see we had this huge bullish candle that broke above and closed above both of these highs here. So we can mark this high off. Oh, we already had it marked off. So that's something that we want to be mindful of, because any area that gets broken, we will look for, price to come back to correct before it gives us a continuation. So that's something I'm being mindful of on, the smaller time frames to look for that correction. 4 hour pretty much telling me the exact same story. Now the only thing with H4 is that we got this fib structure here, and we ain't quite hit that negative 27 yet. But you can see from the last time we had our major structure was the 45,770-ish area, and we hit that. So those are just numbers that we want to pay attention to. But like I said, we haven't quite hit this negative 27 quite yet. Now coming down to H1, and I'm going to clear some of these fibs off just so it's not a lot of stuff going on. Coming down to H1, we can see that we still in this overall uptrend. So the last structure that we had was these dots. So if you see these dots on my screen, that's just me marking off the market structure throughout this area. So we had this impulse, we had this correction, continuation, correction, continuation, And then now we formed another higher low and a new higher high, right? So let me just fix this. And then we can get rid of this and get rid of that and get rid of that. So that is the 1 hour structure that we are in, right? So if we were to shift bearish, we would need to break beneath this higher low. You know, like, don't make trading super, hard. Don't make it, more complicated. Structures being maintained, then you can assume that the trend is going to continue, right? Unless you had like a major reversal area, but more likely than not, the trend is going to continue until structure tells you otherwise. So on H1, this is the structure that we would need to get broken before we even look for any selling opportunities on US 30. And then on this 1 hour trend line, we can see the story here is every time price touches this 1 hour trend line, it bounced, it bounced, it bounced, it bounced. So what could we expect? If price makes its way back to this 1 hour trend line, we could potentially expect another bounce, right? Simple, simple concepts, don't overcomplicate it. A lot of this stuff with trading is ultimately mental. It's not really like strategy, is more so mental, like having a proper mindset inside of the market. And that's kind of what I talked about inside of my YouTube video today. Just being in complete acceptance of, you don't control the market, and it will always be another bust inside of the market, right? Now, coming over here on our H1 structure, we can see that this is also another high that got broken. So we want to pay attention to this level right here. Now, dropping down to our 30-minute, everybody knows, well, nah, I wouldn't say everybody, but if you've been on here a while, you the OG, like this is an impulse. It's an impulse break structure. So let me just break this down to y'all. Impulse breaker structure. This tells us the direction the market wants to go. So if we have this brand new impulse, that's literally the market screaming like, okay, I want to go bullish. This is a lot of momentum. The market is telling us it wants to continue to go bullish, right? So after every impulse, there comes a correction, right? So the market moves in 3 phases: impulse, correction, continuation, right? So when we understand that concept, we understand that we just got this impulse. So what comes after that? We should be expecting a correction. Where should we expect our correction to? Well, the very first area that we should expect our correction to is this high point here that previously got broken. This was the last breaker structure inside of the market. So bare minimum, we should be looking for the market to come back into this area, correct itself, and then potentially continue, right? So that's something that we want to be mindful of. Now, since this was so bullish to end the week, it may or may not get all the way down here because it still is a deep, retrace. That's 370 pips. But overall, I still am looking for some type of retracement on US 30. But right now, it's like you don't even want to trade this right now. Like, honestly, it's like there is no trading setup like currently. So just be patient, wait on hands, wait on the pullback. Now, once price does pull back, you want to watch price in this overall area. So when I say watch price, that means that you want to see how price is fluctuating in this area. You want to see what is the price telling you. Is there wick exhaustion? Is there a lot of momentum leading up to this area? Is there, bullish, candlesticks being formed in this area? Like, ask yourself those questions to validate if this is going to be a solid area that's going to be respected, so you can catch that continuation. Because, like, let me give you an example. So, like, let's take here. At this point inside the market, and this is the replay tool. At this point in the market here, this was a breaker structure. But these candles here had a lot of bearish momentum. So since they had a lot of bearish momentum, you're not just expecting to just buy blindly off of this area. Why? Because you got all of these big old bearish candles right here. That means that there's bearish momentum. That means there's bears inside of the market. So you don't want to buy when everybody is selling, right? Like it just don't make sense. So you need to see that momentum slow down, right? And how do you know it slowed down? You start to get patterns, you start to get wick exhaustion, so forth and so on. Like my blueprint students know, like this is right here. This is a form of letting you know that the market's about to turn around. Why? Because this was divergence, and then you started to see some bullish variations in this area, which was a trend line, so that now you know that the market potentially could stop at that area. All right. So understanding that concept, then you can take that and you can apply it to here. If price comes in prints, super aggressive bearish candles, we not gonna just buy blindly right here. That's why I say to watch price in this area. I'm not saying buy price in this area. I'm saying watch price in this area, because if it doesn't tell you that it wants to buy, then you don't just buy. So always be mindful of that when y'all approaching y'all like areas of interest, y'all key levels, so forth and so on. Like even take, this example here, where this was ready to buy, wick exhaustion, bullish, variations, engulfings, all of that stuff. It was looking, it was at an area where price was bouncing off of that trend line. You can expect buys at that area. So for my ghost pattern this week, I'm just overall looking for a pullback. So I do expect some type of consolidation, since we did just have a big drop. A big push. So something like this, where like we can see price consolidate for a little bit and then eventually, fall off and then retest this area. So that is what I'm looking for. Now, if this forms like this, you can see even with this ghost pattern, if it forms like this, then you can take the break and a retest here and sell it back down to here. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. That's like minor structure, but you got to let the structure form first before you even think about doing something like that. And then always be mindful that, these type of things are going against the trend. It's a counter trend trade, so it's a little bit more risky, but also if you understand structure, then you can take advantage of it. Just be mindful that it is a counter trend, right? So be mindful of that. But this, like I said, this is what I'm looking for on US 30 to start the week, right? So we're waiting on that pullback. Once we get that pullback, then we can decide. Now, if we break structure underneath there, then we can sell that down to the next stopping point, which is that zone right there. Does that make sense to everybody? On YouTube, y'all can type yes in the chat. All right, let me double check. Let me look in here, make sure I'm not missing no comments. Say good evening, fellow learners. Good evening. Took a stupid L on Gold Friday. Should have walked away before news. Well, you live and you learn. All right, perfect. Y'all said that makes sense. All right, so that's what I got for US 30. And then if y'all would, like I mentioned at the beginning of this call, if y'all want to follow the progress, make sure y'all inside of my Telegram chat, because the Telegram chat is where y'all gonna get, the most of the updates, where I'm giving out literally like the live updates of price. Even with this gold, like even before gold shot up yesterday, I literally was like, you should pull your profits and secure some profits here and go break even, because this is a stopping point. So giving trade updates inside of there. Even did the before, after. So make sure y'all in my Telegram chat. So we had 3,700 subscribers inside Telegram chat. Let's grow the Telegram chat. So share the Telegram chat with a friend if they need help with trading, or they want to get into trading, whatever the case may be. Oh shit, I ain't mean to do all that. Yeah, just make sure that y'all share that, because like I said, we trying to grow the YouTube channel and we trying to grow the Telegram chat as well, because we are all a part of the chart runners family. So my goal for everybody on here is to become a chart runner. So what I mean by a chart runner is you run the charts, right? So when you run the charts, it's one of those things where it's like a model, it's like a way of it's like a way of thinking inside of the markets, because like don't confuse running the charts with like, controlling the market, because ultimately as a chart runner, it's like we let the market come to us. We discipline inside the market. We will always wait on our confirmations. We trade our plans. We move with precision. So we don't chase trades. We run the charts. That's just pretty much how it goes. So as a chart runner, like I said, you gotta have that mindset. You gotta have that belief, and you gotta really move, walk, and talk with a purpose. So y'all know, like if y'all been following me for a while, y'all been on this channel, or just been following me on Instagram, whatever case may be. I always tell y'all, like, you gotta embrace the grind, and y'all always gotta understand. I even tell my students, they hear this from me a lot, like, you limitless when it comes to trading, but you ultimately gotta believe in yourself, and you really gotta like fall in love with it. If you just trying to chase the money, it's always gonna be a chase. But if you fall in love with the charts, and like when I say charts, I don't just mean charts, like it's a real art. So like when I say chart, this is how I really mean it. Like this. It's an art behind it. And when you understand the art behind it, it's like you look at it completely different. It's like you got somebody that's a 5-year-old, scribbler that's drawing, and then you got somebody that's real passionate about their paintings. They take their time. They like Picasso. So like that's how you got to be about your trading journey. And when you become that person inside your trading journey, trading becomes a lot easier, because you're not just jumping into trades. You're not just taking trades. You're not even just like trying to learn a whole bunch of different strategies. Like you stick to one, and then you realize like, okay, this is my style. This is how I'm doing it. Like it's an art to me. Think about like if a painter tried to have a whole bunch of different styles. Like, oh, sometimes they paint with this type of brush. Sometimes they paint with, crayons. It's like, bro, like it's too just vague. So always be mindful of that, and really understand that this, like I said, it's an art. So when you treat it like an art, you understand that you get in the trades when the trade's ready for you, because you run that shit, not because you just so antsy to get in. It's like the market is ready for you when your confluences align. And that's how you know like you run the charts, because it's like you not letting the candlesticks and the market just being open, or you just coming to your charts and like, oh, I marked up, so I gotta take a trade. Like you not letting that control you. You are in control of yourself, and you in control of how you behave inside of the market. So when you in that alignment and you really understand, it's like that's when you a chart runner, bro. So like that's why I changed the whole Telegram chat and made that, because I'm just sticking with it and I'm running with it, because it's like a motto, and that's just the way I approach the markets, and that's how I see it. And I feel like since y'all part of my tribe, y'all part of the family, y'all see it like that too. So everybody on here should treat trading like a art, and not just I'm trying to make money from it, so forth and so on. Because y'all can see I'm real in depth with these markups. I don't just give y'all these BS markups. I don't just give y'all like no BS. Like this stuff that I give y'all is real deal trading, in my opinion. So always be mindful of that. You said, what time frames do you make your plays off of your weekly setups? I enter on the, like when I actually press the buy or sell button, that's based off of a M15, an M5, or an M30 candle. But when I'm looking at my analysis, I always use all of the time frames, because all of these time frames are supposed to be used. That's why they here. You know what I'm saying? If we was just only supposed to use M15, then that would be the only time frame they give us. But the M15 don't tell us the whole story that we need to that we need, to come up with a very educated decision. Now, if you want to gamble, then yeah, you could sit on M1 and look at the candles, be like, oh, I see a bullish candle, let me just buy. And it's like, you don't really understand what's going on. You just looking at one candle, like, oh, I should buy. So it's like a slot machine. But when you understand the story, it's like, oh shit, this is a very detail oriented, educated, data driven decision. And if you're not looking at it like that, then you probably just gambling and you losing, throwing your money away. You know what I'm saying? So always just use all of the time frames. But like I mentioned, I use the 15 and the M15, M30, sometimes M5 to enter the market. Crozy said, "You're a king for doing this for free." I appreciate that. So yeah, my job and my main goal is just to give y'all as much information, because it's like I don't really believe in holding back information, because if people held back this information from me, then I ultimately wouldn't even be here today. So you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I have my mentor, I paid for a mentor, but she also did, a lot of stuff for free. I found a lot of stuff on YouTube for free. So what do I do to give back? I do it for free. You know what I'm saying? So it's just my give back, and I even like I talked about in my YouTube video, I just like helping people, bro. Like, I just genuinely like seeing people succeed. Like, if you even like talk to my friends, like, I'm the one that's like motivating the whole group. Like, that's just me. I just find joy in that, right? So you said when you get to go, even though we've been consolidating, where is the 4-hour market structure? I got lost with it. Yeah, I'll go over that in a second. Standard value bought. Who is that? I don't know what the spam. Look like a bot in the chat. Let me get them out of here. All right, so that's what I have for US 30. Now let's move on to Nasdaq. All right, so the last video that I did inside of the Telegram chat, I had this marked up. And actually, I forgot. Matter of fact, I'll skip even that on US 30. But last week we was here. So when I did the YouTube video, we was here. I said I was looking for these buys to come up into this little zone right here. So this buy played out perfectly. Then the update during the week, I said that we had this fib structure, and I said we will only. This is why it's super key to understand like the concepts, and also understand like, just because you think something is gonna happen don't mean it gotta happen. And that's why I always give y'all like 2 scenarios. But here I said we would look for buys if we broke above this structure point here. So at the time it was like, shit, damn, hold on, where'd they go? Damn, let me fast forward. So at the time it was like here. And then I was mentioning like, all right, we break this structure, then I will look for a buy once we break and retest. If we don't break that structure, then I'm not really looking for buys. And then I say, if we like under here, wait on the break and retest for the sales. And then you can see like we broke structure and we sold off on NAS. So NAS had a deeper sell off before the buy. US 30 kind of just consolidated. But overall, we can get rid of this stuff. And we can clean this chart up just a little bit. So let's get rid of this and extend that like that. All right, so starting from the top, we got this weekly candle has some wick exhaustion. We still overall bullish. Daily time frame ended the last on Friday with a bullish candle engulfing these 2 candles here. Still forming like a potential higher low is being formed. So that's an indication that the market could continue to print new higher highs. H4. This looks good. Impulse correction. We can look for a potential continuation. Now, one thing that I want to pay attention to is this level right here. And now this isn't the H4 structure, but it is still a level of resistance, and it still is a breaker structure level. So I want y'all to, be mindful of that area, right? So let me clean off some of these because we don't need these dots necessarily anymore. Boom, boom, boom. We don't need this no more. We don't need this. We don't need this. All right, bet. So on H4, you can see the last higher high and higher low of structure was this little peak right here. So we had impulse, correction, continuation. If you just looking at it from this last low, this is just the impulse, this is the correction. What could we potentially expect? Another continuation, right? So understanding that concept goes a long way. Literally, it's just all market structure. So with that being said, we can put this 4-hour fib on here. We had a 61.8 retrace, right? So students, y'all know that's green zone retracement. Now, currently where we at on H1, this is why I always say time frame correlation is so important, because just because on H4 in the daily we bullish don't mean that on the smaller time frames we don't have other internal structure. So on H1, I'm going to mark off the higher highs and higher lows. You can see on H1 we broke this structure. So this was a impulse breaker structure. This is potentially could be a correction, and we are sitting at this area. Now, whether the market bounces and pushes lower from this area, that's something that, we got to see. Or if it'll continue to go up and make new highs. We don't know. And that's our job is not to know, we have to predict where the market is going just to be right about it. Our job is to be reactive to the market. So when we see the market telling us what it wants to do, we react. But if we're at key levels and we still need more data, then we need to let the market come to us and give us more data so we can make a very educated decision based off of that data. Otherwise, it's just like you playing a guessing game. It's like Russian roulette, right? So with that being said, on NAS, I can see it pushing down from this area because this is a level that got broken and currently is being respected. But it was a lot of bullish momentum into this area. So I don't know if it's going to stop here, but it is a potential area that price could stop at. So dropping down to a 30-minute time frame, this is, like I said, another impulse. I would like to see a pullback, but I just don't know if we're going to get that pullback. Now with NAS, the breaker structure, this was the 30-minute breaker structure. So if we look at the higher highs and the lower lows and lower highs of this structure, this was the last lower high point. What does that mean? That means this is where price shifted from a bearish environment to a bullish environment once we broke above this, right? So anytime the market gets broken, what did I say earlier? We look forward to get retested. So I will look for price to come back into this area, retest this area, potentially push up. But we don't know if it's going to stop here, if it's going to stop here, or based off of H1 structure, if it'll make a new low. So that's why it's always you got to be attentive. So going down to my 30-minute, I'm going to give y'all a ghost pattern, but let me look left real quick. I would like to see, just like US 30, kind of like a little bit consolidation or a little trickle down. Maybe something like this. Give us a reason to sell. Some divergence form or some shit, and then sell off. So now look, this is what this is where paying attention to details comes in. So I'm gonna give y'all some sauce real quick. So like this is something I would tell my students, but I'm gonna just get to y'all because it's in my thought process and I can't explain it without really explaining it. So currently where we at. So this ghost pattern that I chose was based off of this price to the left that had divergence before it dropped. So this was the area that I looked for. Price had a brand new impulse. It started to correct and diverge. So you can see it gave divergence before it pushed down, broke, retested, pushed down, and then it gave a continuation. So if I'm looking for a sell in this area where we at, if I look at price, there is no higher low like in here. Like this is just one push. This is one push up, right? One push. There is no trend. There is no higher high, higher low, higher high. This is just one impulse push. So since that is just one impulse push, what I would like to see in order to like see a potential sell off or anything like that from this area, I would like to see this go and create a new higher high. That way it can validate this higher low. And once it validates this higher low, then this can be the breaker structure line. If we get this breaker structure line, then we know once this breaks and retests that this is going to pull back deeper. But if not, then it's like you can't just sell this off, or you can't just look for this to pull back because you don't really have a shift in the structure. So that's what I'm saying when I said like I will want to see this make a new high first, then use this as a breaker structure line. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that didn't go over your head. It's just a concept of understanding like market structure. But like I mentioned, this is so bullish, you don't really know that this gonna pull back just yet. But that's why I have it like diverging first, because once you get some divergence and you get like the market begin to slow down, then you can look for that pullback. But if it don't and it just push up, like continue to push up to this level, then you might see some exhaustion in this area. But other than that, it's like I want to see some form of the market telling me that it's about to pull back. The same way it did here with divergence, same way it did here with divergence. So that's what I'm overall looking at, right? So on NAS, our breaker structure, honestly, I wouldn't even look for sales until, well, mainly sales until we break underneath here. That'll be the main selling opportunities. But hey, y'all, my mentor just texted me. She said she's proud of me. And how's the baby? Would you look at that? I was just talking about her. That's the alignment. That's the alignment that I be talking about. When you in alignment, like sometimes you just be talking about somebody and then they text you. So that's crazy. But hopefully y'all understand what I'm overall talking about on NAS and what I'm looking for, right? Ty said 23.6, not a correction, higher low on the 1 hour chart. That's correct. But we got a deeper retracement. Well, if you talking about this little fib right here, then yeah, this ain't even pulled back to 23.6 yet. So yeah, we haven't even pulled back at all yet. So yeah, that's valid. Now going over gold. So hopefully y'all got the play for NAS, but let me just put this note right here. Watch price here. Somebody said, wasn't the QQQ down 6 days by CNBC that markets rally on Powell statements when markets were down because of the data? The last few weeks been bad, but even earnings hadn't been that good. The QQQ down 6 days. I don't pay attention to that stuff, honestly. I just trade. I'm more of a technical trader, so I don't I don't really dive too deep into the fundamentals and like what causes the market to be down and the like power statements and the earnings and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I pay attention to when he's talking, but I'm not really a fundamental guy for you. So I just know what I see on the technicals, but they always align with the price action on the chart, right? Somebody said, if you don't mind me asking, who was your mentor? She did a great job with you. My mentor was Jessica Lane. That was my only mentor. So if y'all see anybody saying like, oh well, he learned from me, no, I learned from Jessica, and I learned from Jessica back in 2020, and now it's 2025, and I still talk to her. So that was my mentor. That was the only mentor I ever had, and that's who taught me like everything I know. So like with my mentor, I don't mind like giving homage and all of that stuff. Like I give credit where it's due. Um, Somebody said all you need to know is she the GOAT. So she taught us. We're examples of her. Absolutely, 100%. Like I said, she just texted me too. So when I get off this call, I'm gonna text her back. But all right, so that's Nas US 30, and then let's go over gold. So on gold, we were, let's see where the dates. On Sunday, we were here, and I was saying that based off of this little minor structure we had broke above this high, I was seeing if we was gonna get a pullback to continue to go higher. But if we broke underneath this low, then we could sell that down to that negative 27 TP. So as you can see, the sales played out. That's one of those things where it didn't quite hit the negative 27, but the structure played out. But I hate, honestly, me personally, I hate when they do this. Like it come a few pips away from the negative 27 TP. There's nothing you really can do about that. It's just like you don't control the market. So I was looking to see if this was gonna get hit throughout the week, but ultimately it didn't. This was the move, and then it kind of reversed. So I can get rid of this because we don't need this, we don't need that, we don't need that, we don't need that, and we don't need this, right? So, what somebody say? Oh, she said she's amazing. She has YouTube live tonight too. Yeah. So if y'all want to get off this call, well, not get off this call, but once y'all get off this call tonight, definitely tune in to her YouTube live as well. But all right, so this is the trade that I know a lot of people was asking me inside the Telegram chat because I was in these sales from up here. So inside the signals chat, the free signals chat that y'all been hearing me talk about for the last couple, weeks, we took this sell and we was up 160 pips in this move right here, right? So we got the sell entry. I think it was like right in this little area right here. All right, so we caught about 160 pips, and then on Friday, what I was mentioning was we was at this level of support. So let me just go over the Telegram just so y'all can kind of see what I'm talking about. So here, this was, I said currently we're sitting at level of support, so this would be a good area to secure some profits, possibly go break even. Since it's stopping points, you took advantage of the move yesterday, manage it smart, because once again, today's Friday. Never let the market take back your good gains from the week. All right, so literally gave y'all the play. Now, coming here, a lot of people was asking like, all right, well, why wouldn't you consider this the breaker structure? So, and let me just get rid of this fib real quick. This would not be a breaker structure, and I kind of try to explain it inside of the Telegram, but I don't think y'all might have understood it with my words. So, if I'm looking at this structure, and I got a high, I got a low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. This is my downtrend structure. So since this is my downtrend structure, this downtrend doesn't get invalidated until this lower high point gets broken. So at the time before those gold buys had happened, this was still, forming this downtrend structure, forming lower lows, impulse correction. You expect a continuation, right? But like I mentioned inside of the Telegram chat, this is still a level of support, which means that it is a potential stopping point. So anytime that you at a stopping point inside of the market, you can't just assume that it's gonna stop here. I mean that it's gonna just burst through here. Think about it like a ceiling and a floor, like an apartment, right? So you got the ceiling, you got the floor. If you in the middle and you jump on the floor, you don't know that the floor gonna break unless you got enough momentum. Otherwise, you just gonna hit the floor and you're gonna stop. Why? Because it's a floor and it's holding you up. Same thing inside the market. So if the story here is that every time that price came into this area, it respected, it respected, it respected, it respected, it respected, it respected, and then this was the only time that it broke, it's like it's a high probability chance that it could potentially stop from here, right? So when I got here, I'm like, all right, this is a stopping point. Secure your profits, go break even, and take some money off of the table because there's no reason to give the market like back any of the profits that you had, right? So once we got to that area, it was like, all right, well, if you looking at it in the terms of, oh, this was an impulse break of structure, this didn't really break structure. The high was here, the low was here. So just like, and this is why I want y'all to understand, because you can never go against your rules as a trader. And the moment that you go against your rules, then that's the moment that you're not really like trusting in your system. So y'all see how last week on Friday, when I was mentioning before I erased it, where I got this ghost pattern at, you see how we broke structure on minor structure, we broke it, and then we disrespected it. So I had a fib here, point A to point B. We disrespected this fib. So it was like the minor structure was getting invalidated and the major structure was still like overruling it. So in the case of right here, this was another concept, like, well, another thing that was in the back of my mind. I'm like, well, this didn't even really break structure because this is really just price in between. There is no break of the low, there is no break of the high. Like, this is just a peak, like a break of resistance. That's all this was a break of resistance. It wasn't a break of structure. So I'm like, all right, well, yeah, I can see the buy. Like, literally, once this printed this candle here, I'm like, yeah, this is probably about to buy. But like I told y'all in the golf vlog, I was out golfing. Like, I'm not about to trade before. I'm not about to place a trade before news and Powell speaking, Trump speaking, and I'm not even at the crib to manage the position. And I'm gonna be golfing. It's like, no, like, enjoy it, especially when it's not giving me all of the validation that I need as a trader. And this is just me personally because this is how I trade. So everything that I'm mentioning to y'all, I want y'all to understand, like, this is my style of trading. This is my concept. Like, this is how I approach the market. So I'm not going to go against my rules. When it didn't break structure, okay, I'm not looking for buys because it never gave me impulse break of structure like I needed to, right? So that's what I want y'all to understand. Like, I seen a lot of people like, oh, well, I got this fib, point A to point B. Some of y'all even had this trend line like such, and it was like, oh, it's a break and retest of the trend line. But like you can see, the first time it broke and retested the trend line, a lot of people bought here on Thursday when I was selling, and this like sold off 166 pips. So always be mindful of that and always stay true to your system, your rules. Like I said, this didn't fit my system, so I wasn't looking for buying opportunities in this area. Like, yes, this one particular time it shot up, and I know a lot of people be like, well, damn, it shot up 500 pips, I could have caught that. But when you understand and you in alignment with this, it's like you don't really care that it did that, because you always know it's gonna be another setup. Like, you know how many setups it's gonna be this week? It's like, why would I like be upset that I missed this, or like pity myself because I didn't take this buy? And it's like, no, bro, the market will always be here. The market will always give me another opportunity. So I don't need to chase. I just need to be in alignment with price, the way that I trade. So if this don't be in a, if this wasn't in alignment with how I trade, then I'm not about to force it, or I'm not about to guesswork. It's like a 50-50 chance, but it just wasn't in alignment. So I want y'all all to take that and really understand that concept, because you never want to like go against what you know. And that's why it's important that y'all don't really learn a whole bunch of strategies, because like I promise y'all, the more you know in trading, like the more like concepts and strategies, the more you're gonna be confused, because you're gonna be looking like, well, this is market structure, but this is a fair value gap, and this is the MA cross, and this is the RSI, and this is, you know, inverted fair value gap, you know, breaker structure. Like all of those different concepts is just gonna confuse you when it's time to make decisions, and you as a trader want to have the easiest decision making that you possibly can. And that's why, like, even my students, I break it down for them like literally 5 steps. These 5 steps don't align, you don't take the trade, and that's how you eliminate all of the confusion. All right. Somebody said, where is the 4-hour structure on gold? All right, so back to that. Now, gold is kind of in the, it's like a weird area, bro. Like it's kind of iffy. So this is a one big kind of consolidating area, right? Now, part of me, when you look at it on a daily, this is still bullish, right? This is an impulse. This whole thing is a correction. We could look for a continuation. On H4, it's like, depending on how you looking at it, you can have it like this being structured, and then this breaking the structure to go higher like such. Or you can look at it like this and have like this, and then this the breaker structure, and then like this, and then like this whole, like this last little whole part is a whole correction to fall lower. Like it's just multiple ways that you can look at it, and that's when you in consolidation like this, unfortunately, it can go either way, and that's why we react to the market and we don't try to like predict it. But honestly, the goal for the 4-hour structure on gold is just like a big ass consolidating like pennant right now. Really, this is what gold is right now. One big pennant. When you get bullish pennants, when you have like this is a bullish pattern. So if y'all ain't never seen this bullish pattern, go look up chart patterns on Google. When you have a bullish pennant and it's like this, typically it breaks out to the upside to go higher. But if it breaks to the low side, then you expect this. We don't really know yet. So I would just love for gold to finally break above, or break beneath this high, or break above this, or break beneath this low, break above that high. I would love to see that. But honestly, we simply just don't know yet, right? So, yeah. I see y'all in the comments. Natural gas making new lows. I don't trade natural gas at all, so I haven't looked at that. How many hours a day would you say you were putting in the charts before you became profitable? That's a whole story, but I only got 2 minutes left before I gotta hop on the Zoom call with my students, so I'm gonna make it real quick. But I was on the charts literally from like 5 o'clock and when I get off work to like 9 o'clock at night. So I would say like 4 or 5 hours. This is where I was just dedicated to, watching this. When I very, very first started, I was watching the videos. And then like another thing too, bro, like if y'all new to this channel, go not even this. Well, this channel right here is my complete trading channel. If you go to my like real channel at Mike Lito, like let me just put it on the screen at Mike Lito. Like go to that channel and do your homework. Like go do your homework. And when I say go do your homework, it's a reason behind me saying that. But go do your homework. I've been like my whole story, my whole journey, I've been doing this since 2019. But everything is on that channel. Y'all might not see it on this channel because, like I said, it's this I made a separate channel just strictly for these live streams and like educational content. But when I first was learning, I was spending like 4 or 5 hours, and I like told my friends that I didn't want to play the game, I didn't want to do none of that, I didn't want to hang out with no girls, I didn't want to do none of that. I just wanted to learn the charts. And then once I got to my mentor, I literally spent like I took how long was I with her? I was with her for like 16 weeks. Well, not with her, but like I met with her once a week for 16 weeks. And I didn't trade that whole time. So I was just kind of like in like what they call it, solitude or whatever. Like I just was focused on learning. So I would spend hours on homework, the homework assignment she gave me. I would I would just study, and I wasn't really focused on trading. I was just focused on learning the skill set. So my advice to all of y'all that's on here is just go and study, but study one like person. Don't go and study a whole bunch of people. Study like one concept. Pick your favorite people that wherever like resonate with you, that's who you should learn from, honestly. And make sure they, of course, like make sure they know what they're talking about. But for me, I chose my mentor because I resonated with her. She was young, she was hip, she broke stuff down to me in ways that I could understand it. And it was like the very first course that I took was like no disrespect to them people, but it was just like, two like younger guys, and then, like it was a MLM. I don't know if y'all heard of Tradera, but it was Tradera, and I like learned like basic terminology, stuff like that from them. But then once I learned it from her, it was just like, all right, well, I can resonate with this because it makes sense. All right. So with that being said, make sure y'all get in the lab, make sure y'all get in your bag, and make sure y'all run these charts. So like I said, chart runner family, chart running is not being in control. It is you being in alignment with the charts, right? So you being in complete acceptance that you don't control the market, you just run the charts, and you know what it is that you're looking for, you following your system, and you just continue to watch, rinse, and repeat. Always protect the bag first, make money second. So one family, one grind. I love y'all, and I will see y'all all again next week for our next Let's Chart Sundays. And for all my students that's on Zoom or all my students that's on YouTube, y'all just hop on the Zoom link, and then we will resume. Well, we'll start our monthly call for my students. So Zoom, I'm not gonna cut off, but my YouTube, I'm about to cut it off. Right.